They called themselves the Celestial Council, a league of 10 ancient species that ruled the galactic core with iron arrogance and self-proclaimed divine right. For millennia, their decrees shaped the fate of countless civilizations. Planets were granted freedom or enslavement based on the whim of their votes. And when humanity rose, when Earth's colonies began to flourish beyond Sol, trading and thriving without asking permission, the Council took notice. The first act of violence was not called war, they called it correction. The human colony of Arcadia Prime was a jewel of the outer reach, a paradise world, green and rich, home to 5 million souls. It was there that the V-Horax Dominion, one of the Council's militant arms, descended from orbit. They came with banners of gold and white, proclaiming a reclamation of unauthorized space. They did not come to conquer, they came to demonstrate. From the skies, they unleashed plasma bombardments that tore cities apart in seconds. The oceans boiled. The forests turned to ash. The V-Horax commanders broadcast the destruction live to the council chambers, to the galaxy, as a lesson to lesser species who forgot their place. On the Arcadian capital's last transmission, a child's voice whispered through static, "Earth, please." Then there was only silence. The council applauded. In the great hall of the Celestial Spire, the V-Horax warlord bowed before the 10 thrones. "It is done," he said. "Humanity has been reminded of order." The council's speaker, a towering being of crystalline skin and a voice that shimmered through the minds of all, nodded in satisfaction. "Good," it said. "Power is balance. The humans will remember theirs." They believed Earth would weep and retreat. They believed humanity's silence was surrender. They were wrong. Aye, the arrogance of the victors. In the days that followed, the council celebrated. Across the core worlds, the destruction of Arcadia was played in public displays, a necessary act of governance. Trade flowed, politics continued, and species across the stars whispered approval or fear. Humans, they said, were brave but naive. They lacked the power, the fleets, the influence to challenge the Council's supremacy. Even the Council's scholars mocked humanity's defiance. "They're a young species," one archivist said to the assembly. "They'll rebuild. They always rebuild, but they'll never rise." Some among the council did question the wisdom of provoking Earth. "The humans are resilient," murmured the Nareth delegate, its serpentine eyes narrowing. "History shows their response to loss is disproportionate." But the speaker dismissed the warning with a cruel laugh. "Disproportionate to us. They lack the ships, the manpower, the will. Let them grieve. Let them rage. The stars belong to the strong." And so the galaxy watched. For weeks Earth said nothing. No fleets were seen. No diplomats called for justice. The Solnet channels went dark beyond the core's reach. The Council took silence as fear. They issued edicts stripping humanity of trade rights, forbidding their vessels from entering the core. Human colonies were placed under observation, with drones patrolling their skies. The V-Horax warlord, basking in his victory, returned to his fortress on V-Hor Prime and held a grand feast. He raised a crystal goblet of bloodwine and toasted before thousands. "To the lesson of Arcadia," he roared, "to Earth's submission." Laughter echoed through the halls of power. None of them noticed the shifting patterns on long-range sensors. None of them noticed the subtle disruption in the hyperlanes. None of them realized that Earth's silence was not fear. It was preparation. Aye, the silence before the tempest. It began as whispers among the trading guilds, reports of unknown ships vanishing near human space. Then one by one, Council recon fleets stopped responding. Their last transmissions were fragments, flashes of light, impossible readings, screams drowned by static. Still, the Council dismissed it as piracy. "The outer routes are always dangerous," the speaker declared. "Let them send a few destroyers to investigate." But the destroyers never came back. Soon the V-Horax sensors picked up an anomaly, a vast distortion emerging near the Orion spur. It was not a natural phenomenon. It was movement. A fleet. Hundreds of human ships translating out of hyperspace, their hulls black as the void, their drives burning blue-white with fury. They bore no markings, no call signs, no insignia of diplomacy, only one emblem etched across every bow, the Terran command seal, a silver star surrounded by a ring of flame. When the V-Horax sent a hail, they received only one response. "This is Earth. You burned Arcadia, we remember." The transmission cut. Moments later, the stars above Vihor Prime went dark. Human dreadnoughts emerged, ships so massive that planetary defense grids failed to lock on before being vaporized. Railguns the size of cities opened fire. Plasma lances carved through orbital platforms. Within minutes, the entire orbital fleet, 77 warships, ceased to exist. The Council's communications flooded with desperate calls. "They're attacking the core systems. Earth has gone rogue. The humans, gods, the humans, they're everywhere." But Earth was not rogue. Earth was united. Every colony, every shipyard, every fragment of humanity, from Mars to Titan, from New Geneva to the fringe worlds, had gathered under one command. And their orders were simple. Erase those who would erase us. IV, the storm unleashed. When the Council fleets finally mobilized, they expected a war of attrition. They expected humans to fight like cornered animals, desperate, uncoordinated, defiant, but doomed. Instead, they found an army that had planned for this moment for a century. Humanity's warships moved like a single organism, strike groups folding space, hammering targets, vanishing before retaliation could form. Entire planets were blockaded not for conquest, but for punishment. Orbital bombardments were precise, surgical, devastating. Military installations turned to molten slag. War councils dissolved into chaos. The humans used weapons the galaxy had never seen, orbital kinetic spears that struck with the force of small suns, swarm drones that learned and adapted mid-battle, stealth cruisers that erased fleets before being detected. One by one, the Council's great species fell. The crystalline Orathi, whose speaker once mocked humanity, watched their glass spires shatter under Terran orbital fire. The once proud V-Horax dominion found its homeworld stripped of atmosphere, its oceans flash frozen, its warlord impaled on the ruins of his own citadel. Every world that cheered the fall of Arcadia now burned beneath Terran fire. And still humanity did not speak. They issued no threats. They sent no declarations. Only the transmissions of destruction marked their passage. Arcadia burns no more. Balance restored. Power belongs to none who wield it unjustly. By the third week, half the Council's fleet was gone. By the fifth, their central communications collapsed. Entire sectors went dark. The speaker, in desperation, ordered the release of forbidden weapons, stellar lances, black hole mines, biological scourges banned for 10,000 years. But humanity had already seen such horrors on their own soil. They were immune to fear. They neutralized the weapons with cold precision, then turned the technology back on its creators. A black hole mine detonated above the Council's primary citadel world, not by human hands, but by its own malfunction, forced through a human signal override. The explosion consumed their seat of power in a singularity of light. The Council's reign ended in one blinding moment, and the stars themselves seemed to dim. The day the galaxy trembled. When the dust settled, only fragments of the once mighty council remained. Their fleets drifted in ruin, their worlds silenced, their leaders dead or in hiding. Across the galaxy, species watched in horror as the humans advanced, not as conquerors but as executioners. Entire civilizations begged for mercy. Trade alliances renounced the council and pledged neutrality. Even ancient warlords who once challenged the core withdrew to their hidden worlds, praying Earth would not look their way. In the Council's ruins, the surviving delegates sent a plea. Humanity of Earth, we surrender, spare what remains. For the first time in the war, Earth replied with words. The message was broadcast on every frequency, across every star system. We asked for peace, you answered with fire. We offered alliance, you demanded obedience. You sought power over others. Now learn what power costs. Then silence again. The fleets vanished into the void. One moment they were there, a storm of iron and vengeance, and the next they were gone. No one knew where they went, how they disappeared, or what they planned next. Only the aftermath remained, a broken galaxy that would never again speak Earth's name without trembling. The weight of vengeance. Decades passed. The ruins of the Celestial Council became a graveyard of ambition. Trade slowly resumed, but the great powers of old never reformed. New civilizations rose from the ashes, smaller, humbler, wiser. And every one of them taught their young the same lesson. Never provoke the Terrans. In the deep archives of the Nareth, an ancient record still played, the last message from the speaker before their world fell. We thought we understood strength. We thought power was control. But the humans, they are not ruled by strength. They are ruled by purpose. When they are silent, they are not afraid, they are waiting. Among the scattered colonies of surviving species, whispers persisted of human fleets still roaming the void, unseen, watching. Of Terran black ships that appear above worlds that violate the fragile peace, delivering warnings written in fire. No one had seen Earth in years. No one dared to approach Sol. The system was surrounded by a barrier of silence, comms blocked, navigation disrupted, drones destroyed upon entry. And yet across every world, across every race that remembered the flames, there existed one unspoken truth. Humanity had not vanished. They were watching. They were listening. And if the stars ever again forgot the price of arrogance, the silence would break once more. The lesson etched in stars. The council wanted power, dominion over all life, authority without consequence. They took what was not theirs, believing themselves eternal. But in seeking to prove their supremacy, they awakened something they could never understand. For humanity does not seek domination. Humanity endures. They build, they learn, they forgive, until forgiveness is no longer an option. When they rise in wrath, it is not for conquest, it is for justice. And their justice is absolute. In the galactic night, the ruins of the council world still shimmer faintly. Cities turn to glass, orbiting the bones of their arrogance. From afar, they almost look beautiful, like stars themselves. But those who know, those who remember Arcadia, those who remember the voice that said, "Earth, please," they know better. They know those are not stars. They are warnings. And though the galaxy has rebuilt, though peace holds by fear alone, every ruler, every counselor, every admiral knows one truth that binds the heavens. Never mistake humanity's silence for weakness. For when Earth speaks, the stars burn.